JD, YFL Media. Sorry about the throat, I'm still getting over a bad infection. I had an idea about shooting this video. Really sort of covers photography, more videography at public places like National Trust properties, English Heritage, and the other sort of independent trusts that own sort of various houses and estates and what have you. This actually came to be 2:30 this morning, so I'm just thinking, like, I don't mind a bit of inspiration, but really, that early? If you think back historically, families have gone out to these places over the years, and so Dad has always been the photographer, and he's gone out with his sort of 35mm camera and taking pictures. Today, of course, everyone goes out and does photography on anything from old style film cameras, which are enjoying a certain amount of vogue, to digital cameras, and I'm going to go off camera for a minute, to these rather wonderful mobile phones that can do just about anything. Just get the camera up and running, and of course they shoot in high definition. Not sure if you can see that, you probably can't. No, but anyway. And of course you can shoot high definition video in these, and I think it's only a matter of time, if it hasn't happened already, before we're shooting 4K. And of course the length of the video is only determined by the size of the micro SD card that's installed in the camera, or in the phone. Nowadays we're using bridge cameras, compact cameras, things like digital SLRs. This is a Nikon that I use, and this works. And generally these places are quite happy for you to do this. The exception tends to be inside the property, whether it be a house or a castle. There are certain rules, and often these sort of revolve around either security or copyright issues for the paintings or pictures or whatever that are on the premises. And of course, flash photography is another thing that they're not happy about, because over time that bright flash degrades the pictures and it degrades the fabrics. So generally flash photography is forbidden, and in an awful lot of these places photography is forbidden anyway, simply for those reasons. And a case in point being Arundel Castle. They have one of the most stunning libraries I've ever seen. It's like something out of a Jules Verne novel, but you're not allowed to film, you're not allowed to take photographs. One of the reasons being, of course, it's still the home of the Earl of Norfolk, so he actually lives there. And so of course everybody goes home at the end of the day, and he'll go in his library and get some books out and have a read. So that's the reason they don't like you photographing there. Going back to sort of family days out, and of course the older days, the middle class families, often Dad would have a cine camera, and of course now we've got video cameras and everything shoots video. And he'd go out and he'd shoot his video with the kids. Well, of course you'd only get about 2.5 minutes on this, and if it was standard 8 film, you'd have to put this thing in a black bag to turn the film around so you could film on the other side. All a bit messy. Super 8 was a lot easier because it was just a cartridge swap, but even so you still only had about 2.5 minutes. Get to the executive classes, and of course they turn up with something like this to film the family. And we're now getting into maybe prosumer range of cine cameras, stop motion photography, filming and all that kind of stuff. Today things are a lot easier. Your digital SLR will do a nice bit of video for you, depending on the brand. Canon ones tend to be a bit better than the Nikon at doing this. The Nikon autofocus is not great when it comes to shooting video. By and large, a lot of these places don't have a problem with you walking in with a camera like this. As a case in point, I did 2 visits to Alton Palace recently, which is fairly close to me. And on the one visit, about 18 months ago now, I went in with this, and I had a Rode video mic on the camera. This is the Tascam one, and it had the big dead cat, huge thing. And of course the staff were all like your dead cat, like your dead cat, and it was all a bit of a joke. Nobody at any point objected to me shooting video. And there's a couple of places where I've had issues, and Alton Palace is one of them. But on this occasion, I had no issues at all. I was able to go around, not allowed to film inside the house. They made that quite clear, and that's fair enough. That's pretty much a standard rule. Last year, I went back for another session. Only this time I walked in with something a little bit different, and I got stopped. Last year, I turned up with this. This is my Canon XF200 with my home-built shoulder rig. So here we go, we're ready to start our filming, and job done. I get stopped at reception, and the lady says, you'll have to speak to our customer service department. So I said, okay, fair enough. Now the one thing I've learned here, let's put that down a minute, because that's quite heavy. The one thing I've learned here, in 18 months of going out shooting videos at various sites, always have the right attitude. You are a guest there, you are a visitor. Do not go in and assume you can just do what you like. Go to the website, check the policy on photography and video. If there isn't one, call them and just say, do you have a policy on photography? My camera is also capable of shooting video. It is for personal use. It's not for commercial use, it's for personal use. Make that point, because if they think you're going in to film commercially, they'll do one of two things. They'll either say no, or they'll stiff you with a license to do it, and you're going to pay for the nose. Well, of course, with that big rig, the first thing that screams is commercial. And it's not a good move. And something else I need to get for this benefit of this. Let's get this out of the cupboard as well while I think about it. Just be aware. If you're confronted by somebody who basically wants to put a block in your way, do not get confrontational. Do not react, respond. Always respond. Be kind, be courteous, be pleasant. Be the nicest guy they could ever want to meet that day. You might want to get in there and film to your heart's content, but unless you get past the gatekeepers, it's never going to happen. And the only way you get through there is to be nice to them and convince them that you're not there for commercial purposes. So, going back to Osmond Palace, I'm at the reception trying to get a ticket. They sell me a ticket, but they're still reluctant to let me through with the camera. I have to phone customer services. So I phone customer services, explain to the guy on the phone, yep, he's absolutely fine with that. I give the phone to Leslie at the counter, excuse me, and it's all approved. So I go walk through, you've got a little bit of an area to walk through, you get to the main gate of the palace, and you've got what would have been, I suppose in the old days, a drawbridge. It's now a proper fixed concrete bridge, concrete and brick, and the lady there stops me and she won't let me through. And I said, it's already been cleared with your customer service, they've already approved it. Oh no, I need to speak to my manager. Oh, I don't believe this. So first thing I do is I just stand back, put my camera down, get on the phone to customer services, put it on speakerphone so she can now hear the conversation. She's not giving me any leeway whatsoever. And now I could have got worked up about this, but I thought there's no point in getting in an argument. Let's just play this by ear. Customer services come on the phone. They explain they're happy. No, I need to speak to my manager. My manager's doing a first aid on somebody at the moment. I said, okay, fine. I'm now 30 minutes and I still haven't got past the bloody gatekeepers. So eventually this guy walks across the bridge and he sort of stops, comes back, has a chat with the lady that was stopping me from going through. She explains what's going on, and he comes back 10 minutes later, calls me across, and I go into an office with him and I sign a form, and basically it was a permit to film. And he said, you'll be okay now. He said, but you can't film inside the house. I said, no, that's absolutely fine. I said, it's only for personal use. I'm learning how to use the camera and I'm learning how to edit video. It's something I'd like to do as a job in the future. So remember that, because that's a good reason you can give, so they don't think you're going to make money out of what you're doing. So he lets me through and I'm filming, and that's fine, everything's good. Not a problem there. Leeds Castle, I checked on their policy on their website, and their policy is you can film and obviously shoot photos, but if you film, it must be with handheld equipment. So as I walk down, I've gone through the main ticket area, nobody's stopped me, I've got this rig, no one's stopped. I'm getting a few looks from people, But I don't mind that. I think, oh, yeah, you feel great. It's like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a videographer, and people are really impressed by all the gear you're carting around. Well, the truth is, people aren't impressed. Most people, when you're walking about doing your filming, nobody's bothered, nobody's interested. They're too busy doing their own thing. So don't sit there thinking that, you know, everybody thinks you're great, because quite frankly, they don't give a stuff. But I get through and I walk through the grounds and I'm doing my filming, and of course I know it's video, we still refer to it as filming, so for the sake of convenience I'll refer to it as filming. And I go across the little bridge into the castle area, and I go through the tunnel, and this woman approaches me, and she's one of the volunteers there. And you can hear her on the video saying, "Good morning, sir," very polite. So of course I'm also very polite. I'm going to put this down again. So. And she says, "Can I ask, have you phoned ahead to say that you're filming?" So I said, "Well, no, I didn't think it was necessary. I've looked at your website, it says I'm okay with handheld equipment." Well, that's a bit bigger than handheld, so now she's on the attack. I've got two options here. I can get defensive. In fact, three options. I can get defensive, I can go on the attack, or I can just back off and say, "Okay, sorry, didn't mean to offend, didn't mean to cause any problems." And that's what I chose to do. So I said, "Well, you know, I've only gone by what's on the site." I said, "You should have phoned ahead and let us know you were going to be here." I said, "Well, I'm really sorry." She said, "I'll have to speak to my manager." I said, "Well, that's okay, fine." I said, "Did you want me to stop? You want me to leave? Whatever you want to do." So I've thrown everything back into her court. That's her decision now as to what happens. No, carry on, she says. So I go down by the side of the moat, round to the back of the castle, and that's how you get in. You come out through the front. So I'm going around there doing my bit of footage, and there's a guy in front of me, and he's got a young lassie with him, and she's doing all the modelling bit, and I thought, this guy's on a commercial shoot, and he is. I had a chat with him, and he was on a commercial shoot, doing a model shoot there. Well, because he hasn't told anybody, he's just gone down with her and the camera, so nobody's any the wiser. So he's doing something that's going to earn him money. I'm just doing this for personal use. Anyway, I come back, and the lady walks across to me, and she says, "Just want to let you know, my dear," she says, I've radioed everybody, all the staff know you're here." She says, "Anything you need, don't hesitate to ask." She said, "We're here to help. Is there anything you want?" I said, "Well, I don't want to film inside the house." She said, "Well, the castle." She said, "Well, you can do if you want." I said, No. It's purely outside, but obviously I need to go in through the exit in the grounds to do what I want to do." "Oh, yes, of course," she said, "and I'm here if you need me." So I'm thinking, well, quite frankly, you must have got a rocket up your backside, because if she's gone on the horn with the attitude to a manager that she had with me, he's probably thought, "Wind your neck in, there's not a problem." So that was that. I've also filmed at Kelvin and Hatch, the not so secret nuclear bunker in Essex. Those guys are very, very accommodating. You go in, you fill out your permit to film or to photograph, you pay £5, and that allows you to do it for non-commercial use. If you do make money from the photographs that you produce or the footage you shoot, they get 25%. And that's fair enough. That's a nice, it works. And I've been down there 3 times. They're very, very accommodating. I did bump into the owner one day when I walked in with a rig that was slightly bigger than that. And he said, "Oh, I didn't realise we were filming today." I said, "No, it's only for personal use." So he said, "Oh, okay, fair enough." And I learned that walking around with all that equipment in a place like Kelvin and Hatch is not a good idea. Not just because of the limited space, but also because of the weight. Now, it gets very hot in Kelvin and Hatch, so you're carting something like that around, and trust me, by halfway round, all you can hear is me on the video panting like an old horse, because I'm so hot, and this thing is just getting heavier and heavier by the minute. What has that taught me? Well, it's taught me, certainly with respect to walking into Oldham Palace with this and not being challenged, and walking into Oldham Palace with this and being held up for 40 minutes, it's taught me one thing: lose this. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to show you an alternative. I'm still on the camera, so don't panic. Alright, here we go. Now, with most video cameras, you get a nice lens hood you can clip on the front. Now, Canon do this rather excellent one. Clips on. Little flappy thing on the front, there you go, does the job. And I actually got myself a quick release mount. Got a grip on the bottom of it. That now gives me a bit of security, handheld. And in all truth, walking with this like this, and of course it's adjustable forward or backwards, walking with it like this, I'm probably a bit more stable than using the big shoulder rig because there's nowhere near the amount of weight. And I can carry this around. I can release this. If I've got fisherman's vest on or bag, chuck it in the bag. I've just got the camera. And in all truth, walking in with just this isn't going to attract anywhere near as much attention as walking in with a huge big rig, because they're not thinking, this doesn't scream commercial. It screams nice camera, but not commercial. And it might be, they even like my dead cat. So there we go. And also with this, I mean, I tend to use the Rode Video Mic X simply because it's compact, it does what I need it to do. I haven't got a huge, great shotgun mic sticking outside this thing. That works for me. It's whatever works for you. Now what I've done, I've set myself up as a sole trader, and I do voiceover work, photography, videography, and I copy up 8mm and Super 8mm film, digitise it, and I can also do old VHS stuff as well. Now at Elton Palace, they wanted my phone number, so if I was on site they could contact me. I said that's fine. Never, ever, if you have a business card, when you're at one of these sites, be it National Trust, English Heritage, whatever, never, ever, ever get a business card out and give it to them, because the minute you've done that, you've gone from amateur to professional, and they're seeing the pound signs rolling up in their eyes. Okay, forget the business card, just give them the number on a scrap of paper if that's what they want. Item motor I did recently, that was, I went down again with a hand rig. Did I need to carry all that gear around? Not really. I could have done just as well with the camera on its own. And if nothing else I've learned, leave the rig for those days when I'm going to be doing maybe a commercial shoot. It might be a corporate video, it could be a health and safety video, whatever it is I'm doing for somebody. Just take your camera. Don't start adding loads and loads of gear to it. It's going to make you stand out to the people that run the place, and they're going to think you're there for other reasons. If you're thinking it's going to make you look good in front of all the other people, I can tell you now, nobody gives a damn. They're all too interested in their own thing. I think at Item I had one fella made a comment, and you can hear that on camera as I came out of the house. They were kind enough to let me film inside the house, but again they said lose the rig because there's limited space inside the house, and obviously with the camera, filming now is a lot easier just with something this size than taking in the huge rig. But the guy who made a comment, he said, "Oh, very professional," and you can just hear it as I've finished the filming. And I thought, well, I can take that two ways. I can either take it that he's being sarcastic, or it's a compliment. So all I would suggest is if somebody does make a comment like that, just smile and don't rise to the bait. If anybody gets stroppy with you or wants to get confrontational, walk away every time. And certainly if it's the staff, if you can't get past a member of staff because they're refusing to let you in, say that's fine, okay, thanks for your time, walk away, find somebody else and go and get a manager or a supervisor and explain to them what it is you're doing. You're there for non-commercial purposes, it's purely for personal. Tell them you're learning how to use the camera, you're learning how to do video, you're a mature student. Udemy.com do some amazing courses on Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, video work, camera work, whatever. There's so many courses there, and all you've got to do is say you do an online course with Udemy. This is just as part of your portfolio, but it's not going to be, and stress the point that whatever you're filming is not going to be put on social media. This is where they get a bit funny. If they think this is going to end up on YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever, they are liable to put a block on you. Okay, now as I say, in the old days, they wouldn't think twice about letting somebody in with a cine camera. And even a big cine camera like this, they wouldn't think twice about letting them in. It'd just be, oh, they're going to shoot some family video. Today, with the advent of YouTube, Vimeo and other sites, and a lot of social media sites, where people are videoing everything now, from somebody tripping up in the street to the police taking down a suspect. Video seems to have taken over our lives to a big extent, and people are very cautious about filming and being filmed and where you're filming. Even at Elton Palace, when they let me in, the guy said, we've got children here today, there is an event on, can I just ask please you don't film where the children are, because the parents might get a bit upset about it. Time was, in the days of these things, nobody thought twice. You know, there didn't seem to be the threat level towards children that there is today. Maybe there just wasn't the awareness. Nowadays, of course, if you're filming and people's kids are in the picture, the parents can get a bit sort of confrontational about it, and why are you filming my kids? People are very much on the defensive and very much on the alert for what they think is strange behaviour. And photographers and videographers have always been a bit of a strange breed. We're sort of, we tend to be a bit insular. We're wrapped up in our hobbies. Do take the time when you go to visit these places. Do your research before you go there. Don't drive 50, 60, 70, 80 miles. Get there and find your car film. Talk to people. Be nice to them. Be the nicest guy they could meet that day. Be so nice they want to take you home to meet their parents. Okay? It costs nothing to be polite. It costs nothing to have the right attitude. And it can open so many doorways. I was lucky at Item Moat. I signed up for membership on the day while I was there, because I thought, well, I'm going to go and film around a certain number of their properties, with their permission obviously. And the guy actually said to me, if you can lose all the rig, he said, if you want to film inside the house, you're okay to. I didn't expect that, because 9 times out of 10 you're not going to get that option. Now that to me was a bonus. It's just a question of attitude. If I'd gone in with the attitude like, I'm here to film and get out of my way, I wouldn't have been there 5 minutes. The drawbridge would have gone up, the portcullis would have come down, and I'd have been off out the car park. I think that's about as much as I can say about this. In terms of rigs, tripods, another thing they don't like. Walk into any of National Trust or English Heritage properties with a tripod, and straight away their backs will go up. They'll probably put their health and safety hat on and say, oh, it's a trip hazard. It ain't really, but you can see where they're coming from. It's all about liability. They don't want to take the risk that you're going to walk away from your camera, someone's going to trip over your tripod, and then they've got a claim against them. So leave the tripod indoors, leave the rig indoors, take your camera, take this, anything you can sling over your shoulder. Take your camera like that. Trust me, not only will they appreciate the fact that you're just going in with something small like this, your own body will appreciate it, because you're not carting around a huge great lump of metal like this. Now on its own, that doesn't weigh an awful lot, but if I stand there holding this for 5 minutes, trust me, I'm going to get tired. I'm going to get tired very quickly. And I know from experience of the rigs I've built before, after an hour of walking around with this, it's like a lead weight. It feels like it's 10 times heavier than it actually is. Okay, that's about as much advice as I can give on that. I don't script up my videos, unfortunately, so I do ramble a bit, and I apologise for that. If you've got any questions, as always, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to help. Before people start trolling me or flaming me about Dad's role as the family photographer, that's years ago. Okay, that's no longer the case now. Thankfully, there's as much interest in photography and videography from women as there is from men, and that's good. It's something that should be open to everybody, and I've always been of that opinion. It's tended to be a very male orientated area, but it isn't. It's photography and videography is for everybody. Just capture the image. And the nice thing is, we look back at some of these old cine films that people have shot in these places, and they're quite useful, because it gives a history of places like Leeds Castle, or places like Hever. Hever's a fantastic place, and I've filmed down there a couple of times. And it's nice also for the organisation, the trust running place. And it might be an idea when you're there to say, you know, and by the way, thank them when you leave. Just go back and say thank you. Handshake often helps. So they'll remember you and say, look, if you want, I can send you a copy of the footage that I've shot, the original files and the edited version. So your media department, if they want to use bits of it, it's useful to them, please feel free. Give them an open license on it. You want to go in there and film on their premises. As long as it's just you and not a crew, i.e. a sound man with a boom and all that kind of stuff, the minute you start going down that road, you become commercial. Going on your own, minimal equipment, but make the offer also. If they want a copy of what you've done, stick it on a DVD, burn it to a DVD and send it to them with a small note of thanks for letting them film you there. It will open doorways, as I say, it will put you in good stead with them. And if you go back again, there's chances are somebody might remember you and say, oh yeah, I've been here before, I have filmed. I've done it at Scotney. Scotney I filmed 3 times down there. First time I got challenged because I had the big rig. The second time, oddly enough, they turned and said, oh, hope you get some good footage. I thought, fair enough. I was half expecting to get stopped, but I didn't. So there we go. That's it. So what I can say, and again, as I say, never, if you've got a business card and they ask for your phone number or your address, never, ever, ever give a business card out. The minute you do that, you've branded yourself a commercial photographer, videographer, and they'll either stop you or they'll slap you with a huge license to film on their premises. That's about it. I'm going to call it now because my throat's starting to dry up a bit. I'm sure you're bored of listening to me. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. I hope the information's been of some help to you. Happy videoing and happy photographing, whatever. Okay, good stuff.